As a documentary filmmaker, as an artist and activist, as a woman of color, as the daughter of Muslim immigrants, I have been on the receiving end of harassment and threats for very many years, both online and offline. One of the examples of online harassment that I experienced was straight after an interview that I did with the BBC, where I talked about our multicultural societies in Europe and the fact that we have a need to create a culture and societies where people from different backgrounds feel like they belong, where people feel safe, where people feel free to contribute to their communities and to the society, and for them to be who they are. The response to this was that this interview went viral. It ended up on various racist websites. It ended up in chat rooms and various white supremacist groups online. And what happened is that a campaign against me was launched through these various platforms to harass me and to scare me and to threaten me. And the kind of threats that I got were not just simply talking about the various ways that I was going to be killed, but they were also highly gendered, in the sense that they would talk about the fact that I would be raped before I would be killed, the fact that I would be sexually assaulted and violated and abused. And a lot of the language that we used against me was very gendered and extremely violent and extremely derogatory and disrespectful. And you know, the consequences for me as a filmmaker of experiencing harassment like this, on one hand, I've had to become used to it because it's become commonplace, which is a shame. It's a shame that we are at this point where this has just become the norm and become normalized to such an extent. But you know, what happened is that the police, for example, had to become involved. They instantly came to the editing suite that I was working in at the time, working on a different film, and they told me that I needed to stay away from windows so that I wouldn't be attacked or shot. They were seriously concerned that the type of harassment I was being subjected to and the kind of threats that were coming against me, that they could very easily go from online harassment to real life physical violence against me. I think we need to look at both regulatory aspects, and I think we also need to look at cultural change. And I think on the regulatory side of it, we need to really seriously start exploring the criminalization of online harassment. And I think that we need to, secondly, also look at content moderation. I think that has to be revisited and refined more. And thirdly, I think that we also need to be holding the platforms, the digital platforms, accountable for what's going on their platforms. The fact that it's becoming a breeding ground for resentments and anger and violent fantasies and violent harassment, and you know, ideologies that are extremely dehumanizing to so many very different groups, not just women.